This is Hollywood. Matías Bombal with you. From Abco Films in Pathé, we have a departure from the mainstream commercial Hollywood entertainment productions that are usually discussed on this program. In this picture, we have an example of the movies not merely as an art form, but an art in and of themselves. From my own native Chile, Alejandro Jodorowsky's The Dance of Reality is just such a movie. Presented in Spanish with subtitles in English-speaking nations, the original title is La Danza de la Realidad. And, as one might surmise from the title, the reality of this film is as varied as it might be for each individual that witnesses it on the screen. Jodorowsky underwent a very unhappy and alienated childhood as part of an uprooted family in Tocopilla, Chile, a very small desert town. The screen becomes a canvas where he paints his personal history with metaphor, mythology, and poetry, and presents the philosophy that reality is not objective, but rather a dance created by our own imaginations. If you allow your imagination to dance, often it will not be in linear form, or at times may not connect from one idea to the next, or even make sense. You might experience imagery that is soothing or profane, calm or frightening. This is the way that the images are presented in this movie, with unusual characterizations, and in some cases, it's like a grand opera. If a story is to be culled from this artistic and poetic expression of the creator of these images and ideas, it would be a reflection of Jodorowsky's own life that we see, just as if he were recalling it in old age, seeing it with the eye of a child and that of an old man simultaneously, as you might in recalling your own childhood. But the passage of time adds new experience that alters what may have actually happened historically. So do not allow yourself to follow this the way you might a typical entertainment film narrative, as you will likely become frustrated. Some images are profane and harsh. Nakedness and horrible cruelty are depicted. As these things exist, bizarre, frank moments of the mind of a poet repulse us at one moment and delight us the next. You see imagery that may connect to other great images seen in film and art before. Jodorowsky recalling himself as a boy with flowing blonde curls, not unlike the youth played by Bjorn Andresen in Death in Venice. Circus scenes that remind one of Fellini, and in a very interesting choice, his mother, played by actress Pamela Flores, who does not speak one line of dialogue, but sings each line musically in aria form. The first part of this seems to follow the boyhood experiences of the young Jodorowsky, but there's a turning point where there's a shift to a long trajectory that examines the father's bizarre path, as played by actor Brontis Jodorowsky, that of a Jewish man avoiding the anti-Semitism of that era's local culture by embracing communism and restricting all personal feeling, hiding any chance of tenderness and lashing out at any showing of emotion, which he sees as a pure weakness. In one scene, when the youth asks if his father believes in heaven, he replies gruffly, "There is no God. You die, then you rot. Afterwards, there's nothing." This in contrast to the mother, whose femininity and tenderness offers such warmth for the young boy. Freedom from the father's harshness is remembered as the experiences of the young boy as he wandered through the memored streets of his town at the edge of the Atacama Desert. In one scene, a mystical creature appears, almost naked, in a loincloth, painted in tribal war paint with symbols. Theosophist. Like Pan, and introducing the ideas of theosophy to the youth, he guides him to a large mining site where cars of ore are suspended in the air, traveling on a cable, and says, You don't know where these cars come from and where they go, but you may take one of their rocks and keep it like a treasure. Those cars are like our bodies, which carry our souls. The soul is a treasure, our God within us. That struck me profoundly, and I had connected to the poetry presented by Jodorowsky. The father is a volunteer fireman in Tocopilla, and on the death of the dog mascot of the firehouse, he insists that his son take its place to toughen him up. After assisting at a fire scene where a fireman lost his life, the boy, fatigued, is forced to march in the funeral procession with the other firemen. Here is a visual example of this blending of imagination, experience, and the mystic. As you may see there are visual elements there that do not seem to occur in our daily lives, but in the realm of imagination and reflection. I was very moved by this picture and find it to be a great work of art, although I find myself not in accordance with some of the political aspects that are expressed in it, even in the real and unreal ways of the imagination. When you're looking at a work of art, you take in all of these expressions of the artist in numerous forms as they influence you. Some you embrace, others you reject. Yet it is possible to remain in awe of the entire work. This is just such an artistic experience. My favorite moment in the movie comes when the young boy is feeling suicidal after being rejected and teased for his faith. He is just about to throw himself into the sea. At this very moment of peril, the director Jodorowsky appears behind him and embraces him, or rather himself as a boy, and says, "Don't jump. You are not alone. You're with me. All you are going to be, you already are. What you are looking for is already within you. Embrace your sufferings, for through them you will reach me, or who you are to become." That idea hit me with the same mind-opening wallop I had when I first saw Federico Fellini's 8½, in that scene where Marcello Mastroianni dies and he rises up to heaven through the clouds. There's a rope tied to his leg that runs hundreds of feet down below him to a beach where a man on horseback has the other end galloping along. This is a movie with poetic ideas, harshness of life, imaginative flights of fancy, and wisdom of age in recollection. I will not forget it soon, or perhaps ever. This is your pal, Matías Bombal, bidding you a fond farewell.